This is live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells world leaders to keep the pressure on Putin over ceasefire in Ukraine, says military planning for peace deal moving to operational phase. Islamic State leader killed in Iraq. US President Trump takes credit, says miserable life terminated. In Baluch Liberation Army claims to have killed 214 Pakistani military hostages in train hijack incident. Pakistan Army reports 31 dead. And SpaceX and NASA launch mission to bring back astronaut Sunita Williams, Butch Wilmore and two others stranded on the International Space Station for 9 months. Amid international efforts to end the 3-year Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian President Zelensky has confirmed on Saturday that Ukrainian forces are still fighting in Russia's Kursk region, denying encirclement. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Starmer held a virtual meeting with 25 European leaders and pressed on the need to defend any peace deal and maintain pressure on Russia. We have a report.
As diplomatic efforts continue to resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russian President Putin has responded positively to US President Donald Trump's appeal to spare Ukrainian forces encircled in the Kursk region, provided they surrender. However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Saturday that Kyiv's forces are still fighting in Russia's Kursk region and were not encircled. He also stated that the situation near Pokrovsk had stabilized, though Russian forces were amassing along the border. On the other hand, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a virtual meeting with about 25 world leaders on Saturday, stating that they must be prepared to defend any Ukraine peace deal themselves, while urging them to maintain pressure on Russia.
Being prepared to defend any deal ourselves through a coalition of the willing. We've begun that process, and this morning we can take it forward. And then thirdly, and really importantly, given the developments of the last few days, to keep the pressure on Putin to come to the table. And I think collectively we've got a number of ways that we can do that.
After the virtual meeting with European leaders, Starmer addressed the media and announced that military chiefs would meet in the UK on Thursday to discuss plans for a peacekeeping force in Ukraine to safeguard any eventual ceasefire.
Our militaries will meet on Thursday this week here in the United Kingdom to put strong and robust plans in place to swing in behind a peace deal and guarantee Ukraine's future security.
French President Emmanuel Macron also joined the virtual meeting with the British Prime Minister and urged Russia to accept a ceasefire proposal. Ukrainian President Zelensky also addressed the meeting, stating that the path to peace must begin unconditionally. In a post on X, he added that if Russia refuses, strong pressure must be applied until they comply, as Moscow understands only one language. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Friday that there was reason to be cautiously optimistic over the efforts to end the conflict, although he added there is still work to be done.
Suffice it to say, I think there is reason to be cautiously optimistic, but by the same token, we continue to recognize this is a difficult and complex situation.
Amid international efforts to end the 3-year Russia-Ukraine conflict, there is no sign of a pause on the battlefield as both Russia and Ukraine continue to launch barrages of drones at each other. The Ukrainian army on Saturday published a map on social media that showed its troops had retreated west towards the border, while a Russian drone hit Odessa residential area, destroying a house and damaging several others.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has appointed an official delegation for possible peace talks to end the ongoing war with Russia. According to a presidential decree issued on Saturday, the team will be led by Zelensky's Chief of Staff Andrei Yermak and includes Foreign Minister Andrei Sabiga, Defense Minister Rustem Umerov and Deputy Chief of Staff Pavlo Palisa. Russian President Vladimir Putin held a video call with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Friday. During the call, Putin invited Maduro to Moscow in May for the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, known as the Great Patriotic War in Russia. Putin also congratulated Maduro on the 80th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries and emphasized their shared interest in strengthening bilateral ties. The Kremlin previously announced that countries including Armenia, China, Serbia, India and Brazil had accepted the invitation to participate in the May 9 celebrations. The President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, and the President of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, represented the European Union at the 8th European Union South Africa Summit in Cape Town. The summit provided an important opportunity to advance discussions on pressing global and regional issues, which were also part of the South Africa's G20 presidency, and to address current geopolitical challenges. DD India's Nazneen Ismail reports.
We have reached the conclusion of the 8th European Union South Africa Summit, a crucial meeting that brought together leaders to discuss trade, security, climate change and global cooperation.
Today's summit focused on a number of issues that were covered and discussed during our summit, and they focus on strengthening our trade and investment relations, which are vital for the growth of our economies and the achievement of our development goals as South Africa.
At the summit, leaders focused on key areas of cooperation. Economic ties were a major topic, with discussions on boosting trade and investment. Security was also high on the agenda. Leaders discussed regional stability and global conflicts, including Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, the situation in the Middle East, and the current escalation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Climate change featured prominently, with commitments to renewable energy and sustainability. However, there were some points of tension, particularly on trade policies and geopolitical issues. Despite this, both sides agreed to strengthen dialogue and cooperation moving forward.
Together, we have just concluded a highly successful European Union South African Summit, the first one in 7 years, but one that could not have come at a more crucial moment. The world has changed significantly since our last meeting. We have faced global pandemic and devastating conflicts, including Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, the crisis in the Middle East, and dramatic conflicts in the African continent.
Today it serves as the perfect backdrop for a new chapter in European Union South African relations. My dear Cyril, just 2 weeks ago, I stood at the Gandhi Memorial in New Delhi, and I reflected on the 21 years Gandhi spent here in South Africa, where he forged the principles that shaped his journey as a global leader. And we can take it as a sign that Europe's next crucial partnership must be with South Africa, a regional powerhouse, a strong voice for the Global South. We both are vibrant democracies. We both have chosen unity in diversity. And we are both striving for a safe and prosperous future for our people.
This summit reaffirmed the strong partnership between the European Union and South Africa. While challenges still remain, both parties demonstrated a clear commitment to cooperation. The next steps will be critical in ensuring that these agreements lead to meaningful action. I'm Nazneen for DD India, Tain Hayes, Cape Town, South Africa.
Well, in a dramatic turn of events, the US Senate passed a stopgap spending bill on Friday, averting a partial government shutdown. The bill, which was approved 54-46, will now head to US President Donald Trump's desk for signature. The move comes after Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer broke the logjam, deciding to vote for the bill despite opposition from his party. Schumer's decision was driven by concerns that a government shutdown would be catastrophic. The bill will maintain spending at 6.75 trillion US dollars for the fiscal year ending September 30th. However, will cut spending by $7 billion. The US military will receive an additional $6 billion, while non-defense programs will be reduced by $13 billion. Schumer's move has sparked criticism from within the party, with many Democrats expressing anger over the bill. The move has also exposed deep divisions within the party. The US military killed the top ISIS leader known as Abu Khadija and another ISIS operative in an airstrike conducted in cooperation with Iraq. Taking to social media platform, US President Donald Trump shared the news. US Central Command said that strike took place on Thursday and a DNA test confirmed the deceased's identity as Abu Khadija. The ISIS chief was Global ISIS leader who maintained responsibility for operations, logistics and planning conducted by ISIS globally. And the Trump administration is mulling a sweeping travel ban targeting citizens of over 40 countries, according to sources and an internal memo. The proposed ban would be broader than previous restrictions, with a red list of 11 countries whose citizens would be barred from entering the US. These countries include Afghanistan, Cuba, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela and Yemen. An orange list of 10 countries would face restricted travel, with affluent business travelers potentially exempted. This list is subject to change as officials review and provide feedback. The administration's consideration of the expanded ban has sparked concerns about its potential impact on global relations and travel. Well, hopes for the return of US astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams are at an all-time high, as NASA and SpaceX have launched a mission to rescue them from the International Space Station. This report gets you the whole story.
After 9 months of being stuck on the International Space Station, US astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams are a step closer to returning home. This, as SpaceX and NASA have launched a long-awaited mission to the International Space Station, where the two have been stuck on the orbital lab.
You know, every crew that comes back goes through a fluid loading protocol just to make sure when they get back that their body is conditioned properly. But they'll go through all. There's nothing beyond what we'll normally do. They've done training already on the Dragon spacecraft while they've been on orbit to get familiar with the differences in the suits and the umbilicals and the seats and all that. So they'll be ready to come home when we're ready.
The 4-member mission, called Crew 10, comprises 2 Americans, a Russian and a Japanese, who will replace Williams and Wilmore on the ISS. But the duo can only prepare for return once Crew 10 gets adjusted to ISS conditions, which could take few days. They can return to Earth in a capsule that has been attached to the station since September last year as part of the prior Crew 9 mission. Williams and Wilmore reached the ISS in June 2024 for a mission which was originally expected to last a week. But NASA deemed it too risky for the astronauts to return on the Boeing Starliner over propulsion system-related issues. The mission to bring them back was later given to SpaceX, but the launch was delayed due to some technical problems and change in weather. The issue also took a political turn as Elon Musk, a close ally of President Donald Trump, claimed lapses on part of the previous administration led by Joe Biden. NASA has said that Williams and Wilmore have been carrying out scientific research and conducting routine maintenance and have remained safe. The duo's plight highlights risk of human spaceflight. It has also come as a major setback for Boeing's space venture. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, we talk about India's economy continuously on an upward trajectory driven by strong GDP growth, booming exports and increasing foreign investments. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav witnesses Hyperloop project demonstrations in IIT Madras. And a blast strikes a mosque in Pakistan's Waziristan area, injuring 4 persons, including 2 children.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Moving on to some other top stories. The Baluch Liberation Army, or BLA, which claimed responsibility for the Tuesday's attack or the hijack attack, has released a statement saying its fighters had escaped with 214 hostages and since executed all of them, but without giving any evidence to back that claim so far. Now, after the Pakistani army claimed that all 33 Baluch insurgents who hijacked the passenger train carrying over 400 passengers on Tuesday were killed, BLA refuted their statement, calling it a lie. Now, the rebel group has claimed responsibility for executing these 214 hostages and has blamed the Pakistani army's or military's refusal to negotiate for their deaths. I get you more details here. In a big claim, the Baluch Liberation Army, or BLA, has alleged that it has executed all 214 hostages captured during the Jafar Express passenger train incident, reportedly. BLA maintains that their fighters, known as Fidain, carried out the operation with the intent to fight till finish, ultimately taking their own lives after killing the hostages and engaging Pakistani soldiers. The rebel outfit released a statement in response to Pakistan Army's claim of neutralizing the hijackers and bringing the siege to close. As per Jayad Baluch, the spokesperson of the rebel organization, the failure of the Pakistani forces to respond to a 48-hour ultimatum for a prisoner exchange consequently led to the mass execution. The rebel organization further asserted that they have always acted as per the international law, but the stubbornness of Pakistan forced them to act this way. Earlier on Friday, Pakistani security sources claimed that the Jafar Express clearance operation launched after the train's hijacking in Balochistan was complete, with rescue of at least 346 hostages and with all 33 attackers being neutralized, as per some media reports. Pakistan's accusations leveled on India for backing insurgents were vehemently denied and befittingly responded by India's External Affairs Ministry. The Jafar Express, with some 400 passengers on board in 9 bogies, was on its way from Quetta in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province to Peshawar in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Army spokesperson Ahmad Sharif Chaudhry said there's nothing to suggest that the BLA had taken other hostages from the scene. Pakistani officials have accused the group of making exaggerated claims in the past as well. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India. And staying with news from Pakistan, a blast struck a mosque in Pakistan's South Waziristan area, injuring a Jamaat Ulema Islam Fazal leader and 3 others, including 2 children. The leader remains hospitalized with serious injuries. The attack's perpetrators remain unidentified yet. The incident adds to the escalating violence in Pakistan's border regions following a suicide bombing at a seminary last month and a train hijacking in Balochistan this week, earlier on Tuesday. Well, shifting focus to Indian economy, which is making headlines once again as it continues its upward trend or trajectory driven by strong GDP growth, booming exports and increasing foreign investments. With global economic uncertainty looming, India has emerged as a resilient force. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings this report.
India's economic resilience continues to shine as the country's foreign exchange reserves surged by an impressive $15.26 billion, reaching a robust $653.96 billion on March 7. This remarkable growth comes as a testament to the Reserve Bank of India's strategic currency swap operations conducted last month, which have fortified the nation's financial stability and global standing. According to the weekly statistical supplement released by the RBI, foreign currency assets, forming the cornerstone of the reserves, witnessed a significant uptick of $13.93 billion, climbing to an outstanding $557.28 billion. This milestone reflects India's robust global trade relations and prudent monetary policies. Adding to this positive trajectory, the nation's gold reserves rose by $1 billion, now totaling $74.32 billion, highlighting the country's continued commitment to diversifying its reserve portfolio. Moreover, the special drawing rights with the International Monetary Fund grew by $212 million, reaching $18.21 billion, while the RBI's position in the IMF increased by $69 million to $4.14 billion. This surge in reserves underscores India's resilience amid global economic uncertainties and its proactive approach to fostering economic growth. With such a strong financial cushion, the fastest growing economies in the world highlight a promising narrative for India's economic future, instilling confidence in markets and reinforcing the country's position as a global economic powerhouse. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Well, the State Bank of India has released its latest Eco-Wrap report, shedding light on crucial aspects of India's economy. And this report provides a comprehensive analysis of inflation, trends, industrial growth, monetary policy expectations, and corporate sector performance, forecasting positive growth, though with some global risk as well. So let's take a look at the highlights of this report. The SBI research anticipates that the RBI will implement a cumulative interest rate cut of 75 basis points in the current fiscal year. The rate cuts are projected to occur in April and June 2025, with a possible third reduction in October 2025. The report mentions that India's consumer price index inflation decreased to a 7-month low of 3.6% in February 2025, primarily due to a significant decline in food prices. Notably, vegetable inflation turned negative for the first time in 20 months, driven by substantial price drops in garlic, potatoes and tomatoes. According to the report, the industrial production reported a robust growth of 5% in January, up from 3.2% in December. The manufacturing sector led this growth with a 5.5% increase, while mining sector expanded by 4.4%. India's Minister for Railways, Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, on Saturday inspected the work being done to develop a Hyperloop pod in the southern Indian city of Chennai. The Hyperloop pod is a pressurized vehicle designed to travel at a high speeds within low pressure tube, utilizing magnetic levitation and propulsion to minimize friction and air resistance. IIT Madras has successfully developed a prototype Hyperloop pod that would take way less time to travel. The project is supported by India's Ministry of Railways. DD India Jai Singh has filed this report from Chennai.
India's Minister of Railways, Communications and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, has expressed satisfaction over the pace of development of the emerging fastest transportation technology called Hyperloop at IIT Madras. The minister visited the Discovery campus of the IIT in the southern Indian city of Chennai on Saturday and witnessed the demonstration of the subscale prototype of the pod of the Hyperloop named as Garud Vahan. Addressing the media, the minister assured the team of the young developers of the Hyperloop prototype that the integral coach factory in Chennai under the Ministry of Railways will give all assistance for the development of the electronic systems and subsystems as well as software for the Hyperloop.
Let's be very, very focused on the quality, focused on safety, focused on how do we scale up this entire experiment once we do the prototypes and everything. So keep that ultimate goal in mind. Try to be as much out of the lab as you can.
Earlier, speaking to DD India, IIT Madras director said the Hyperloop track established within the campus is the longest in Asia. He expressed hope that in 5 years the technology will take a final shape and will be ready for commercial use in the country.
What you see here is the 420-meter track that we have. Here only we conducted the international competition, the first of its kind in Asia. Railways had already supported us with close to 20 crores and another $1 million is announced by the Honorable Minister. And I hope we will really come up with something very explorative and very important for our next generation transportation.
Professor Satya R. Chakravarti, who guided a team of over 60 young engineering students of the institute in developing the Hyperloop, told DD India that the deep tech-based transport mode can reach up to 600 km per hour once it comes to an operational stage. He also said the technology will have several spin-off in areas like freight movement at a faster pace.
Original goal was to actually participate in the competition that Elon Musk was running, but we wanted to actually move the competition here, and for that reason we wanted to decide to build the entire vacuum tube here itself. So to that end we have actually been working towards the stage 1 where we will demonstrate a subscale vacuum tube that we are seeing in the background of this and a pod run in the vacuum. So in the next 2 to 3 months we should actually completely demonstrate a levitating pod run in the vacuum tube. That's what we are working on.
The young engineers and students who were involved in the Hyperloop later explained its modalities to Union Minister. Hyperloop is an emerging deep tech-based technology that has promising potential in highly reducing travel time, almost at par with the civil aviation sector. The technology is now at the nascent stage, and once it reaches its commercial phase, India will be one of the custodians of the prestigious technology. Jai Singh for DD India in Chennai.
India's Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, visited the IIT Madras Centre for Innovation, as we mentioned earlier on Saturday, which organised its annual open house event showcasing 60 cutting-edge technological innovations developed by nearly 1,000 students across 26 teams. CFI, one of India's largest student-run innovation labs, houses 14 clubs spanning diverse technological domains alongside 8 competition teams that actively participate in national and international events. Minister Vaishnav also met with the team working on Shakti project, India's first indigenous microprocessor developed by the Reconfigurable Intelligent Systems Engineering Group at IIT Madras. The project claims to produce production-grade processors, complete system on chips, development boards and a Shakti-based software platform. The initiative is seen as a major step towards achieving self-reliance in semiconductor technology and boosting India's digital infrastructure and cybersecurity. Earlier, Ashwini Vaishnav, Minister, inaugurated a private electronics factory, Z-Work, in South Indian state of Tamil Nadu's Tiruvallur district on Saturday. The Minister also laid the foundation stone for expansion projects at the facility. The event marked a very significant step in India's journey, becoming a global hub for electronics production. Speaking at the event, the Minister emphasized the growing importance of electronics in India's exports portfolio, also highlighted that electronics have become the second largest exported item in India and the Government of India is committed to boosting electronics production in the country.
Electronics has become the second largest export item. Second largest export item in the country, overtaking many conventional industries which had developed export over decades, and just see within 1 decade electronics has become the second largest, and this was possible primarily because of a very clear thinking and very focused execution. And in the execution the state governments have all supported. So I thank all the state governments, including the government of Tamil Nadu, for all the support which has come in execution of Prime Minister Modi ji's vision.
Well, still to come on DT India News Hour. Coming up next, we will be discussing with our very special guest joining us on this broadcast the latest on Baluchistan train hijacking, BLA's claim of killing 214 train hostages, and delve deep into the issue of Baluchistan and its implications for Pakistan.
What is more important, fixing the present or planning for the future? Innovators across the globe rethinking the way we live to secure a better future for us.
I found out about the Rahi trade-in scheme. I went to the agency and discovered that I could receive a subsidy for this e-rickshaw.
We basically mirror that same process, but instead of water for one of our solutions, we use blocks, powering about 35,000 homes.
Our goal is to send a message that it's important to fight for better urban air quality, and I think Liquid 3 sends that message.
We prepare fish amino acid by mixing the fish waste with jaggery. It is also an excellent organic fertilizer for plants and trees.
We're moving from the lab stage to industrial scale production. We still have a few challenges to deal with, but we've seen that it works.
You're watching DT India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and before we move on, let's do a quick recap of the top stories we're tracking for you at this hour. British Prime Minister PM Starmer tells world leaders to keep the pressure on Putin over ceasefire in Ukraine, says military planning for peace deal moving to operational phase. Islamic State leader killed in Iraq. US President Trump takes credit, says miserable life terminated. Baluch Liberation Army BLA claims to have killed 214 Pakistani military hostages in train hijack incident. Pakistan Army reports 31 dead. And SpaceX and NASA launch mission to bring back astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, stranded on the International Space Station for 9 months. Well, going back to our top story, the BLA seeking Baluchistan's independence from Pakistan hijacked, you remember, the Peshawar-bound Jafar Express on Tuesday earlier after destroying their railway tracks. The latest claim now to have executed all 214 military hostages of Pakistan after their 48-hour deadline for a prisoner swap has expired. That is expired on Friday. To talk about this big story, we are indeed very honored to have with us one of the most proficient voices internationally on Baluchistan and Pakistan geopolitics. Let me welcome Mr. Tilak Deveshwar. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. He's the member of the National Security Advisory Board, and he has also authored several bestsellers on Pakistan and Baluchistan, like the Baluchistan Conundrum, and many more, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sakal, for having me on your show. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, sir. So, I want to just read into your understanding of the latest claims by both sides. Now, BLA has dismissed the Pakistani military's assertion that the siege has ended, stating that the government's refusal to negotiate forced their hand in execution, which is, contrary to claims by Pakistan. Do you see a cover-up or a possibility of cover-up by the Pakistani military here? And how do you see the implications as we move on?
You see, I think so. I think the Pakistan army is trying to hide the true scale of the casualty, like they always have. Their first instinct is to not speak the truth, not come out, not inform their people, not trust their people or what has happened. You see, you take in this particular case, they said they had rescued over 100 hostages. Actually, these civilians had been released by the BLA itself. And many of the, the people who were affected, who were the hostages and who had been released, they said they had been released by the Baloch, and not by the Pakistan army. But the Pakistan army wanted to claim credit falsely for this. The train was hijacked on the 11th. By the 12th evening, that is on Wednesday, the DG ISPR declares success. mission accomplished kind of a thing, that they have killed 33 terrorists and rescued the rest. Now, it just so happens, embarrassingly for him, that on the 11th evening, the Minister of State for Home Affairs, a person by the name of Talal Chaudhry, he had given an interview to one of the Pakistani TV channels in which he said two things. One, that the hostages had been released by the Baloch. And second, there were between 70 to 100 Baloch fighters. If there were 70 to 100 Baloch fighters, the DGISPR claims 33 were killed. What happens to the balance 70? No, where are they and what are they? You know. And third, there's a discrepancy in the figures. In fact, as one of the former Pakistan ambassadors to India, Abdul Basit, said on his show, that they have the discrepancy of 80. Pakistan Army has not accounted for 80 of the hostages. 440 people started off from Quetta. 80 are still missing. They're not accounted for. So, you know, all these things show holes that in the story of the Pakistan Army. And therefore, I would rather believe the Baloch version, which have stuck consistently, that if you don't do prisoner exchange in 48 hours, we will shoot your army personnel. I think that's what has happened.
That's what has happened. So, there is an attempt to cover up the failures, but how do you see escalating Baloch insurgency, which is, you know, challenging Pakistan's authority, the way their coordination has grown and the kind of, you know, the so-called repression or the state repression, it's so neck deep. And how do you see this impacting the regional instability?
You see, the Baloch insurgency has picked up momentum for the last 2 years. If you recall, in August last year, they carried out Balochistan-wide attacks. There were 11 districts that they covered. Recently, the Baloch groups, which have set up an organization called the BRAS, they met and they said that in future, instead of doing individual and small actions, they will act in coordination. They will act together. And I think this is the first example of their coordinated action because, you know, hijacking a train requires a lot of coordination, planning, timing, firepower. And this could well be the result of the coordinated action that the Baloch are now taking. Now, this is certainly going to impact the situation in Pakistan because while the Baloch are very active now in Balochistan, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is very active in the KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, the two of them working in tandem will create a force multiplier and a nightmare for the Pakistan Army. It's going to create a huge problem. It will impact China because the Chinese are going to be worried about their investment and the security of their personnel. And they have already been telling Pakistan, and they will, you know, sort of insist on Pakistan even more for protection of their people. And if at one stage, the stage will come when they will say that, look, if you can't protect, we will deploy our security forces, you know, in these vulnerable areas. So you let us deploy our security forces. Now that will be an absolute humiliation for Pakistan were China to deploy their own troops or security or paramilitary or private security agencies in Balochistan. So that is going to have an impact as far as China is concerned.
Right. So, Pakistan's military, now you look at the response, has vowed to challenge terrorists. Though you write in pointing out the discrepancies in numbers, well, they've said that they are going to challenge these terrorists, quote unquote, and their supporters. And I'm just quoting it. They say, will take on the terrorist enablers both inside and outside country. Big embarrassment, but is this sufficient coming from the Pakistani side? What's the message here? What's the underlying message here? What's the hint that they're trying to send across?
This is basically for the consumption of the local people that we are doing something. You know, like you will recall in 2014 when the Army Public School in Peshawar was attacked and 132 children were killed. So they had a national action plan, Radul Fasad, a lot of noise, a lot of action here and there. And then 2 years down the road, you know, the whole thing just dissipated. Same thing here, they will show a lot of words, new documents, maybe a new national action plan will come up, but then it will just dissipate after some time like it has in the past. So I don't think so the Pakistan Army or the government even has the staying power, the long-term vision and the perseverance to continue to tackle terrorism on a long-term basis. You see, the problem here is that this is a political problem. The Baloch has been up in arms since 1948 because of political reasons. What the Pakistan army is trying to do is to resolve the political problem militarily. Now, you can do it for a short while. You can push the people who are protesting or fighting back for a little while, but you will not solve the political problem.
Right.
So this issue has to be resolved politically. But this, the Pakistan army is unwilling or incapable or lacks the capacity to tackle.
Or lacks the intent. But how long? Since, sir, your understanding of Pakistan's handling or mishandling of Balochistan, if you could just give us an insight as far as Balochistan's self-determination, this fight is concerned. Well, Pakistan hasn't helped them the way they've handled the situation, but it seems that the simmering tensions in Balochistan haven't calmed down. And I mean, this particular incident, do you think it's going to have a ripple effect? Implications? How do you see the repercussions?
Certainly. You see, because this has taken the insurgency and the movement for freedom to a very high level. You know, it's not easy hijacking a train. And it is really going to boost the morale of the Baloch freedom fighters and impel them or encourage them to continue with their struggle because they feel that they have got the Pakistan army on the run. Second, it will also impact the other disaffected nationalities, you know, competitive actions. You know, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan will say, look, if the Baloch can do it, why can't we? The Sindhis will feel encouraged. So I think in the long term, it is going to be extremely difficult for the Pakistan army to contain so many insurgencies and so many problems. And the other problems that they have is of political polarization, the economy. Now, if you put all these things together, it will make it very difficult for the Pakistan army. You know, they will react in the only manner that they know, which is to go down very hard on the Baloch. You know, you will find people being picked up, many houses being destroyed. They will indiscriminately kill people, call them terrorists.
Yeah.
But after some time, you know, the Baloch will push back. And if there's trouble at the same time in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Sindh, and within Pakistan itself, and the PTI is protesting against this, you know, it will make it that much more difficult for Pakistan army to sustain things.
You know, sir, the BLA has also, you know, in a way, challenged Pakistani authorities multiple times to allow independent observers into this conflict zone, suggesting that the army's reluctance to do so shows their defeat.
It is true. You see, if they said the operation was over on Wednesday and today is Saturday, they have not allowed journalists in that area. It's cordoned off and they are allowing no one to go and verify independently. Or even their own journalists who are on their payroll, they don't allow anybody to go there. And why? What are they hiding? If the operation was clear and if they have killed so many terrorists and freed so many hostages, what have they got to hide? Similarly, you know, UN people have asked for a UN observer group or this, there's a UN particular Human Rights Council's body which looks after arbitrary arrest and torture and things. They've asked that some mission like this to come. But the Pakistanis are refusing to allow this to come, to understand, you know, what the problem in Balochistan is. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has pointed this out several times, as has Amnesty International, about the grave violation of human rights. You know, we've heard about the missing persons and the kill and dump policy. But Pakistan will not allow international observers or even their own journalists. So obviously they're hiding something.
How do you see Pakistan's long negligence in Balochistan? In the sense, are you hiding something? You know, that question that you raised. The state accounts for, I think, 44% of the country's geographical area. And the region is most underdeveloped and poverty-stricken, though it's so, you know, rich in minerals. And you talked about the China angle. Given the mess in their own backyard, do you think this incident has put Pakistan on a back foot somewhere? I mean, even the stories that they are, the indiscrepancies in their accounts, especially of handling of this incident.
Yes, you know, it's this incident, more than any other, will draw attention to the fact that why are the Baloch so upset? Why are the Baloch fighting? Not only in Pakistan, in other parts of Pakistan, but also internationally. You know, people will want to know why are the Baloch so angry? Why are they upset? And then they will realize exactly what you mentioned. Balochistan is the most backward of all the 4 provinces of Pakistan, despite being so rich.
Yeah.
I'll give you one example. Sui gas was discovered in Balochistan in a place called Sui in the 1950s. Every town and urban area in Punjab and Sindh, for that matter, has got piped gas, except for Sui itself.
Yes.
Even Quetta, the capital of Balochistan, got gas only in the 1990s. That, and then even the price of gas is much higher. The royalty that is paid to Punjab and Sindh is far higher than the royalty that is paid to Balochistan.
Okay.
So, there's so much of exploitation of the resources of Balochistan. So the Baloch are saying, look, why are you doing this? We're not going to accept this anymore. And now with the building of Gwadar and China-Pakistan economic corridor,
yes, sir.
Again the Baloch feel threatened. They said that people are going to come from the outside and work over here, and the Baloch will become a minority in their own province. So this incident is going to raise the profile of people wanting to know what is wrong in Balochistan, and then they will find the kind of underdevelopment that is taking place in Balochistan.
Right. For the fact that Baloch have also alleged that their resources are driving development in rich states like Punjab and Sindh, as you rightly pointed out, while Islamabad continues to neglect Balochistan's development. The question is for how long, especially post this incident. Well, that's all we have time for, sir, but it was such a pleasure having you on National News Broadcaster, Tilak sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Sakal. Thank you so much. Namaste. It's a pleasure to come and talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Let's now move on. Well, we'll have to see how this story is going to pan out in the next 48 to 72 hours. Reactions from BLA and Pakistan military. Meanwhile, getting back to our other stories still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, ISRO successfully conducts flight acceptance hot test. We'll get you more on the other side. And SpaceX Starship rocket to leave for Mars at the end of 2026. And Indian athletes shine at Special Olympics World Winter Games in Turin in Italy. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and now let's move on to some other stories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently had an engaging and thought-provoking conversation with renowned broadcaster and AI researcher Lex Fridman. The discussion, lasting 3 hours, covered diverse topics, including Prime Minister Modi's childhood, his formative years spent in Himalayas, and his journey in public life. The much-anticipated 3-hour podcast with renowned AI researcher and podcaster Lex Fridman is set to be released on Sunday. Lex Fridman described the conversation as one of the most powerful conversations of his life. Responding to the post of Lex Fridman about the upcoming podcast, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote, "It was indeed a fascinating conversation with Lex Fridman, covering diverse topics, including reminiscing about my childhood, the years in the Himalayas, and the journey in public life. Do tune in and be part of this dialogue," unquote. The Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, on Friday successfully conducted the flight acceptance hot testing of the cryogenic engine identified for the 6th operational mission of launch vehicle Mark 3 in Tamil Nadu. In a statement, ISRO said the hot test was performed differently this time, with the engine being tested for a longer duration of 100 seconds for the first time using an innovative nozzle protection system under non-vacuum conditions. As per the statement, performance of the CE-20 engine met all the test objectives and the parameters were closely matching with the predictions during the entire duration of the test. Well, SpaceX founder Elon Musk has said its massive Starship rocket will leave for Mars at the end of 2026 with Tesla humanoid robot Optimus on board, adding that human landings could follow as soon as 2029. Musk, who is the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, suggested in a post on X that human landings could begin as early as 2029, though 2031 was more likely if the initial landings go well. Starship is crucial to SpaceX's future satellite launch business, a sector it currently dominates with its partially reusable Falcon 9 as well as Musk's aspirations to colonize Mars. In November, sources said Musk's dream of transporting humans to Mars would become a bigger national priority under US President Donald Trump, signaling big changes for NASA's moon program and boost for SpaceX. Well, India and Russia have come together in a vibrant celebration of culture and artistry. The creative ensemble of NP Ogorov National Research Mordovia State University, a prestigious award-winning troupe, captivated audiences in New Delhi with a mesmerizing showcasing of Russian ballet, opera and traditional costume collections. Titled Russia-India Culture Unites, the event highlighted the deep artistic ties between the two nations, fostering cultural exchanges through music, dance and theatrical performances. The event successfully reinforced the spirit of cultural diplomacy, leaving the audience with a deeper appreciation of the rich artistic traditions of the both nations. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. India's special athletes made the nation proud at the Special Olympics Winter World Games 2025 in Turin. Their victories in snowboarding, speed skating and other events prove that determination has no limits. More than medals, their success is inspiring more inclusive society. A report by Narayan Singh from Turin.
The Special Olympics World Winter Games 2025 in Turin has been a proud moment for India. The athletes have not only won medals but also won hearts. Their victories prove that determination has no limits. From Bharati's double gold in snowboarding to Zarya and Tanshu's medals in speed skating, India's special athletes have made history. Their success is more than personal glory, and it is a step towards a more inclusive society.
मैं सबसे पहले धन्यवाद दूंगा मलिका मैम का, जो उन्होंने इन एथलीट्स के लिए इतना कुछ करा है और जो उनकी सपोर्ट की वजह से हम लोग यहाँ पे पहुँच रहे हैं, और उनकी सपोर्ट की वजह से जो हमारे एथलीट्स हैं मेडल्स ला रहे हैं, बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है हम लोगों के लिए और बहुत थैंकफुल हमारे जितने भी एथलीट्स हैं मैम को तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देते हैं, जो उनके सपोर्ट से हम लोग इतना आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। तो ये बहुत बड़ा मंच है एथलीट्स के लिए कि मतलब हमारे इंडिया से बाहर आके हम किसी और कंट्री में जाके हम लोग मेडल्स ला रहे हैं. इट्स अ वेरी गुड अचीवमेंट फॉर एथलीट्स.
For many parents of children with intellectual disabilities, these achievements bring hope. Watching Indian athletes shine on the global stage sends a powerful message. It encourages parents to support their children in sports and believe in their potential. Coach Monica also says these victories will help change society's mindset.
मैं पूरे समाज को, पूरी कम्युनिटी को ये कहना चाहूंगी कि इन बच्चे को, ये बच्चे भी किसी से कम नहीं है, इनको दया की दृष्टि से ना देखें और इनको मोटिवेट करें ताकि ये भी मेन धारा के साथ जुड़ सके. और जैसा कि आप देख ही रहे हो इस मंच पे ये बच्चे आके कितना अच्छा प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं.
This change has been made possible by Special Olympics Bharat, the organization providing training, support and opportunities to special athletes. These athletes are more than champions, they are symbols of hope. Their success inspires schools, workplaces and communities to be more inclusive.
The achievements of our special athletes go beyond medals and competition. They challenge stereotypes, inspire change and pave the way for more inclusive society. Every victory they achieve is a powerful example of the strength of determination and the importance of equal opportunities. When these athletes shine on global stage, they redefine what is possible for individuals with intellectual disabilities. With camera person Satyanarayan, Narayan Singh, DD India, Turin.
On that triumphant note, it's wrap up in this edition of DT India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DT India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DT India. I'm Sakal Bhatt from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DT India News Hour.
Check.